Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Amateur Repair Time. We're going to do a weird one today. I haven't worked on one of these before, but I have a trumpet here that I picked up at the flea market. When I was a kid, I was in the band, and I played clarinet, of all things, in the 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. And then in the 10th grade, you had to show up a month before school started to be part of the marching band. And I said, nah, I don't think I want to do that. So I dropped out. But I played in the band for a little bit. So anyway, I was at the flea market last weekend looking for like guitar stuff. And there wasn't any. But there's this one guy up there. He always gets all kinds of cool stuff. And he had this trumpet sitting there. And it was beat up a little bit. And the guy's a really honest guy. And I walked up and I was like, so man, how much you want on your trumpet? It's just an old trumpet, you know. And he's like, and he starts looking at it, and this thing's messed up. You'll see here in a minute. He starts pulling off the parts that are messed up, and he's not saying anything. He's just making sure I see it. And he goes, he's like, do you play trumpet? And I said, no, but I might. If you make me a really good deal, I'll buy it. And he said, how about $15? I was like, okay, I'll pay $15 for it. So we bought a busted trumpet for $15. And then he said, you know, that case is pretty nice. The case might be worth $15. And I agreed with him. I think the case might be worth $15. So here's what's left of this trumpet. I don't know much about them. Like I said, I played clarinet. That's bent, though. I don't think it's supposed to be like that. I think it's supposed to be perfectly straight. So the end of it's just bent. It's got some dents and things, but it's not bad. Let's see, it is a Baldwin, which I guess a lot of them were. That's probably just your typical band trumpet. But the main problem is the slide, or the mouth pipe they have broke off. We have it, but it's broke off. It's not supposed to be like that, folks. So we need to try to solder that back on. Now, how did that break off? It's because the mouthpiece apparently is stuck. So from what I understand, you know, basically you're getting spit and everything inside of these. And so what happens is they sit a while and they start to corrode, and then things will get stuck together, like the slides and maybe the mouthpiece. So somebody has been wrenching on this thing with a pair of pliers. You can see where they've been grinding on it, trying to get this thing back apart, and were unable to, and then eventually broke it clean off the trumpet. So there are two little braces that are soldered on, one here, and there's supposed to be one here, and it's missing. Well, it broke, I guess. So it would have went from here over to there. So it goes about like something like that. And so the brace would have went from here over to there. So we're missing that. The horn is bent down pretty severely. We can bend that back probably. This is all brass, so it's all soft. But the valves seem all right. Now it's sticking a little bit, but then, once you clean it, it'll be all right. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know what those are called, but whatever those are. Got 4 of the slides, maybe. We got 4 of those, and we're missing that little brace. So I need to figure out what I can do about that. I mean, there's obviously options. You can, I could make that work with anything. I mean, you could use a zip tie or something if you needed to, but it would be nice to have something like that. I got to tell you too, it kind of looks like it's like a fork or something almost. Like you could take something and grind it down and make it work. But I think what I'm going to try to do is maybe see if somebody sells those online. I would think that somebody might sell replacement parts because it's probably kind of common to break those. You know, if a kid's got it in a band or something, he drops it on the ground, it's going to break one of them. You know, the bell on it though is in pretty good shape. It's not all dented up and everything. So everything looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. So it's not in that bad a shape. So I'm going to look at it real close and see if I can figure out when it was made, and just look it up and just see if I can get a little information about it. Here's the case. It's in okay shape. I don't know if there's anything that needs to be done to that. Maybe the glue just came loose on it. You know, I don't know. Just looking at the case, I would guess this is from the 60s. I would think. Maybe this is from the 1960s. Might be a little older than that, but probably the 60s. But the case itself is still in pretty good shape. All right, so I'm going to see if I can find any kind of identifying marks on it, and then we'll look it up and see if there's any way to even tell what it is. Or I've seen them before, too. I think the pipes here can create different types of horns, maybe. So I don't know if this is just a standard trumpet or if it's a alto trumpet or what the deal is. So I'm going to try to figure that out, too. All right, so I slid the first slide. I'm calling it a slide. It might not be called that. If I figure out what it's called, I'll tell you later. I slid the first slide out here. Now, I think, I might have this wrong, but I think, if I remember correctly, if you leave, like you can tune the thing by sliding this in and out just a little bit, almost like a trombone. It works the same way, principle, I think, if I remember correctly. But this one has one, I'll call it an insert in it. And then you've got this ring, and up here the ring is missing and the insert's missing. So I think it's stuck inside this mouth tube. So I think that's the insert, the ring, and I think it's supposed to slide out right there. And there is a pipe, I think, stuck in there about that far. How in the world I'm going to get that out, I have no clue. I might be able to solder that back to the pipe, like to here, which would give me the ability to wrench on it a little bit to pull it out. I might have to heat it up or something. And then I don't know what I'm going to do about this yet. But I'm going to get this off before we put this back on the horn, because we'll just end up breaking it again. But this mouthpiece, I don't think goes all the way down to there. I think it just, they may even have it most of the way out. I don't know, but something's going on here. But I'm going to try putting like, I'm going to try putting like PB Blaster and stuff on it, but it seems like it's, yeah, you'll have to tell me what you think. We ever going to get that loose? It may have corroded to the point where there's no way you're getting it loose. Well, worst case scenario, we can just get another, you might be able to buy that on eBay off of a parts horn or something. But let me keep looking at it. Okay, now the hammer, look folks, I didn't beat on the thing with the hammer, okay? I have a hammer here. I did use the hammer, but I didn't beat on. So, to twist these off, so like they're stuck a little bit. So you put like a little rag on there and you do this. Nothing major. It wasn't major, okay? Don't worry about it. It was $15, okay? It was my $15. All right, so now I didn't hit this with the hammer, but I was trying to pull this thing like this, and when I did, it popped off the solder came off of this little ball. I don't even know why those are there. We'll have to figure that out. One slide, two slides, three slides, and then 4 slides with the piece still stuck in the mouth tube. Okay, and I was able to get the valves apart. We may be able to tell how old it is just by looking at these. Let's see. See, that's plastic, so... But you know what? They could have replaced them at some time, too. So that's plastic. And like I said, they all seem to be working pretty good. That one was sticking a little bit. That spring in there looks pretty good. It has little pearl buttons. And then the little felt. Now, it could be that they had the thing serviced at some point. But let me tell you a little secret about band instruments. Most people don't ever get them serviced. Because what happens is your kid takes band for 3 years and then never touches the thing again. Kind of like my clarinet. But these little felt pads, you need to replace every once in a while. There's also cork in some things. I don't know about in these. I don't see any. Unless I'm not looking at cork right now, I don't believe. You got to replace the cork sometimes. Oh, it's on the... All right. This is the spit thing. You do this so all your spit drains out of it. Look, folks, you knew it was a trumpet video before you clicked on it. All right, so yeah, I want to try to see how old it is. And there is a serial number on it. It says 403312. So I'm going to just see if there's any kind of database of Baldwin serial numbers that'll help us out on that. I don't think that's any kind of date code because I can't make hide nor hair of it. There's no way it's from 1940. I don't think it's anywhere near that old, but yeah, so we'll see. It's a Baldwin special, it says. All right, so here's a little info. This is from brasshistory.net. Baldwin Band Instruments, Elkhart, Indiana. In the late 1960s, the Baldwin Piano Company decided to add band instruments to their offerings. Their 1969 catalog, now they're not showing us their first one. They're saying that they started in the late 1960s. Their 1969 catalog, for instance, shows 3 lines of brass: the student level special, which is what we got, the intermediate level custom, and the professional level Baldwin. Brass offered were cornets, trumpets, trombones, French horns, baritones, and a sousaphone. These appeared to be stencils made by Blessing in Elkhart. So Blessing was a manufacturer of brass instruments. I don't know what the stencils means. Maybe that means that you just put whatever name you want on it. I don't know. The Baldwin TU-403 trumpet in the 1969 catalog looks very much like the Blessing Masterpiece model from the same year. According to the 1969 catalog, these were distributed through the Fred Gretsch Company located in New York, Chicago, and Elmhurst, Illinois. It's likely that this was a short-lived venture, as all the examples found appear to be the same design and have a limited serial number sequence. That's interesting. Perhaps the fact that at this time several large U.S. band instrument makers started having Yamaha make their student models contributed to the end for Baldwin. The serial numbers for cornets should start with 30, which relates to their model numbers, followed by a 4-digit production sequence number. Trumpets all start with 40. Yeah, ours is 403312. So 3312 in the late 60s. Yeah, it must just be the order that they were made, and it's probably not the serial number of, well, I don't know, maybe they only made a few thousand of them. Who knows? They don't say it's 6-digit. Let me see if I can find some pictures of a similar one. I mean, they're showing one right there, and see if I can find some different serial numbers on some of the ones online. Okay, so this is a Baldwin Custom. You know, they're acting like they only made these a few years and then basically got outdone by other people, Yamaha in particular. It's a Baldwin Custom, which is the higher end one. And one thing I noticed right away is we're missing this finger piece here to help hold it. And the custom apparently has some floral work on the bell. And it just looks a lot nicer. That's a nice looking horn. So, you know, there's one in very nice shape, and you can see that the bottom piping is parallel with the top one, which seems obvious, but ours is off a little bit. So I'm gonna have to try to bend it back that direction. And then there is the case that it went in. To me though, something looks a little off. I mean, that's an awful big case. Like, why do we have all this extra room here? But it does say Baldwin on it. Okay, so here's a Baldwin special. So this is just like ours. Same model, basically, I believe. Unless there's something I don't realize about them. Different type of case than ours. Ours is probably in the wrong case, because this one looks more like the other Baldwin case. But it doesn't have the little thing that I was talking about on the custom, the little loop that you put your pinky in, I guess. And there is the serial number. Theirs appears to be 40, which stands for Trumpet. And then does that say 0302 maybe? In some parts, theirs is worse than ours. But I'll bet that slide pulls out. Yeah, some parts of ours are actually in worse shape. There's the 4 slides, and that confirms that, yeah, that piece is supposed to pull all the way out. Yeah, and so there's the case, very similar to the custom case that we saw. It says, no, that says Bundy. Yep, so that's the wrong case. Oh, and that's different. Ours is written completely different. Ours is written sideways on it. That one's written long ways on it. And there's the Z brace that we need. All right, here's a very nice one that was on Reverb for $95. And it does, so this is a special again, but it does have the little ring thing. I'm sure that's pretty common on every trumpet, so I should be able to find one of those. Yeah, this one's a very nice shape. And it does, the mouthpiece is really long on it, at least on this one. We need this little thing here. I might just have to go to a music store and pick some stuff up. See the number right here? It says TU401, I think. Ours, I thought, said something like that, but it's all ground up because they've been messing with it with the pliers. Suckers. Well, this one's beautiful. Beautiful. What a nice looking trumpet. I'm not a, I don't know anything about trumpets, but that one certainly looks good. What is our serial number? 400122. So that would be like number 122 if that's how they did it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, that one's written different than ours too. It's written sideways, and ours is written the other way. And ours has a higher serial number, so these are probably earlier ones, and ours maybe from the late 60s. All that matters is, what does it sound like? I guess probably most of them sound about the same, you know, unless you've got a really high-end one. All these band ones probably sound about the same. Yeah, see, that's a Yamaha case with duct tape on it, so that's not the right case either. All right, so here's another one. It's got the logo the way ours is, and the serial number is 403881. Ours is 403312, I think. So ours is 3312, theirs is 3881. So it would have probably been closer to the time that ours was made, and they've changed the logo on it, or the name carving, engraving on it. All right, so I found this Baldwin trumpet, and the case is the same. Ours is a different color, but if you look at this little metal piece on the end, how it kind of stair steps down, it's exactly the same as ours. So that must be the original case. So that's pretty cool. Let me see if it shows any more of it. The inside of this one's slightly different. Mine may have been modified, or theirs may have been modified, or, you know. It doesn't even matter. You know, I just find this stuff interesting. All right, folks. So I put some PB Blaster on it and was able to get this piece out. It's just sitting in there right now. So I need to solder that back. And, you know, that came out of here. The mouthpiece was stuck bigger than crap. I mean, whew, it was stuck. And you can see that it's pretty ate up because they were trying to take it off with pliers. So it seemed almost as if they got it worse with the pliers. Eventually I was able to get it loose though, but I had to basically press it off. So there is a lip here. So if you are holding something on the edge of that lip, you can press this off, right? But it's pretty rough. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand it. I'm gonna just take some sandpaper and clean it up. And I'm gonna boil it because it was, you know, somebody's mouthpiece. But everything else is pretty cool. So I'm missing 3 parts. I'm missing the brace that goes here. I'm missing, and if you look, there are, on this particular one, there are 2 sizes of brace. So see how that one's real long and then it curves? This one is shorter, so there's a shorter one, right? Well, I guess it could be that they're both the same size on that end. Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? So it's kind of the part that goes to the what do we call this? The mouthpiece pipe. What do we call it? The main pipe, the front pipe, the first pipe, whatever. It looks like both of them, where they touch it is a little short piece, and then this little longer one, I don't know if, oh yeah, we can tell from here. Yeah, it's shorter. So that, where it's soldered, is shorter than that where it's soldered. The solder goes a little past it. I don't know how to give you a good representation of that. I guess I can measure it. But basically, they're 2 different sizes. I've noticed that by looking at pictures online, right? So I need one of those so I can put it back here to hold that in. I need that. And then the other thing that I need is just minor. It's the little holder that goes here, and it slides in and can be moved. And there's a set screw that goes in the top. So I need the screw. I need the little pinky ring thing like this, but it's complete. And I need the little screw that holds it in. And that's all that's missing from it, really. I wish, well, it's broke, so I guess they couldn't have. That when they broke that one, I wish they would have left the piece in there, but, you know, I wouldn't have been able to solder that back. I'm going to have to replace the whole thing. But that's fine. So I'm going to order those parts online because as we just researched, this is a Baldwin, but it seems to be made by a company named Blessing. So if you get a Blessing student horn, it's the same horn. It just doesn't say Baldwin, it says Blessing on it. So looking at it, I'm not an expert on trumpets, but looking at it, I don't see any difference. They look identical. Some of them, the coloring is slightly different. So the way this has, like, you know, what I would call nickel and brass. Some of them are all nickel looking. So, you know, you got that in different places on them. But in general, everything else looks the same, and these little braces look the same. So there are people on YouTube that part out horns. They'll just take this whole thing apart and just sell all the parts off of it piece by piece. It's kind of expensive, but in our case it won't be, because all we need is that little support brace, and we need that little pinky thing and the little screw. So I'm thinking 30, 40 bucks at most, right? How bad could it possibly be? Okay, folks, so some time has passed and I was able to get my parts in. There was a guy online named Texas Horn Trader that basically, it looks like, is just taking brass instruments apart and selling the parts off of them. But that's cool, because I was able to get what I needed. Now, I'm sure his trumpet was probably banged up, beat up, tore all to crap. Nothing like this beautiful piece of work we got here. So that one had to be sacrificed to save this one, okay? Sometimes on these, whenever people are parting them out and I'm parting them back in, I wonder if I'm just wasting my time. But I know I'm not. I know I'm not just wasting my time. Okay, so this one, this is the, what do we call it? The front piece, whatever. I was able to get the old broken piece off. I put a little more solder on it. I'm using a soldering iron. You're not really supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to use a flame, but I don't have one of those, so we're going to use a soldering iron. So this is the brace that was broken, and I need a, by the way, it's from the exact same, the exact same horn. But I need something to hold it on there. They make a little clamp for them. It's like a spring clamp. I wonder if I could make a spring clamp. I might have something like that, but if I don't, I'll figure something out. I might be able to put, if I very carefully lay it down, I might be able to put like a weight over it, and then as the solder melts, it should lay down in the solder, and that'll be that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I need to solder that on. I'm going to make sure I got it fitted right to the trumpet. You know, another thing I could do is I could solder the part on the trumpet first and use something to hold it. And then once it's on there, work backwards, you know. I'll figure it out. We'll see what we can get done. Okay, folks, so it took a little while. I had to mess with it a little bit, and I'm going to say right up front, I am not perfect at this. So that's the original one. This thing was bent all to crap, and this is my solder joint with a soldering iron. Now, you remember that thing was bent, so I couldn't quite get it perfect. But I did get it fairly level. Again, not exact, but, you know, it's kind of parallel. And then this whole one I replaced. So I put it on here. About as good as I could get it with a soldering iron. And then I put it on there. That's actually a decent solder, but it's not completely flat against the horn. So it needs to be re-sweated, but I don't really do that. I'm not a plumber, so I'm not good at that. I put this little thing back on. This was actually the hardest one to put on because you couldn't hold it. So I had to hold it with a pair of needle nose pliers. I'm kind of afraid I'm going to break it off if I keep messing with it. I think it's on there pretty good. But anyway, this little thing pulls out. And then I figured out that to play these, I thought that you tuned it as in, this is A, And so you slide this out until it's dead on A. And this is D. And so you slide it out until it's dead on D. No, that ain't how you play it. You move the thing while you're playing it. That's why the little ring thing is in there. So you have to, I don't know how many, so it's C, I guess. Just, you know, playing it plain. I've actually seen a lot of them referred to as B flat trumpets, so I'm thinking maybe it just plays B flat naturally. Or it could be that trumpets are always a little more flat than the rest of the band. I remember when I was in band, and I played a clarinet, so I was in the woodwind section. But I remember them talking about how you had to transpose the music to a different key for certain instruments. And I don't know if the trumpet was one of those. So it could be that instead of playing a C, this thing plays B flat all the time. But anyway, but let's just say it's C. And then this, you know, how many notes could you get out of 3 keys? So you could get C, D, E, F, and of course I'm just guessing this, right? G. Wait, what did I just say? Yeah, G, A, B. I guess you could get all of them with them, but I don't think it works like that. I think on some of them you have to hold a couple down and slide that out and things like it. And I think you have to slide this one out, but there's nothing on it to do that with unless you're supposed to use these. Maybe that explains why those are there. You hit them with your thumb or something. I don't know. Maybe this is the old way of doing it, and the new way has a little ring or something. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how to play the trumpet. Okay, so I've cleaned it up a little bit. It's not perfect, but I think I've got it all back together. I soldered this back together. I don't know if I showed you that. It's not real tight, but it's not as loose as it needs to be, which I think I need to oil it better. I need to get the proper oil. All I've got is sewing machine oil. So all 4 slides move properly, but just not well enough. Some of them do, like this one moves really well. I think what I've got left for now is I need to clean this up a little bit. So when I soldered it on, it burnt some of the enamel a little bit. This thing basically, you know, it's brass, but it's clear coated basically. And where they've been ratcheting on it and stuff, it looks pretty rough. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna be able to get rid of all of these nicks. I don't wanna go crazy on it, but I'm gonna take a little bit of sandpaper and just clean it up a little bit. Now look at the mouthpiece. They were really wrenching on that thing. I mean, you can get another one, but it's just cosmetic. It's just a, you know, it's a little pipe. So I'm gonna clean this up too with sandpaper a little bit. You could probably, I mean, it's basically tarnished, but I think sandpaper would be my best bet, considering how rough it is. And just try to make it look a little better, and this look a little better, and then we'll see if I can play it. As you can see, it's pretty beat up, but it cleaned up a little bit, and of course, comes right out now. So I'm gonna go a little bit more with the sanding, like a higher grit to get it even smoother. And then we'll see if the thing can actually play. Of course, I cannot play the trumpet, but I'm just, if I can get a couple of notes out of it, I'll consider that an accomplishment. It's actually, you know, it cleaned up kind of nice. I think we saved it at least. I don't know if anybody who's any good could play it very well, but I've learned a lot from it. All right, I'm gonna record a bunch of this and maybe I can get one little note coming out. I think I can hear it echoing through the neighborhood. Did you hear that? The neighbor's gonna love me. It takes a lot of air. You gotta purse your lips just right too. All right, let me try this again. Yeah, you hear it echoing? I can't tell what it's echoing off of, but something is echoing. It's making something vibrate or something. Maybe it's the springs in all the clocks. Well, hell, that didn't sound that bad. So, you know, what's his name? The guy in the Tijuana brass band, Herb Alpert. Herb Alpert is probably going to retire. Hopefully, no time soon. But down the road, Herb's going to retire, and he's going to need a replacement. So I need to start practicing. So let me try real hard. Okay, here we go. Let me try moving this front one out. I remember it was supposed to make some type of note. Huh, good Lord. I'm gonna give myself a headache. I'm sure none of you guys will get a headache though watching this. I can't phrase anything though. All I can do is just blow like hell and push the buttons. Yeah, that's worth every bit of $15. Whew. All right, so I'm gonna practice all night for the next 2 years, or probably till about 2 a.m. when the police show up. That'll be the end of my trumpet career, maybe. But I don't know. You know, I think the whole problem could have been resisted if they would have just done this. Oh wow. The thing's kind of warm. I wonder if that's from the sandpaper or from me blowing hot air in it. Pretty cool. All right, folks, so there you go. I'd call that, I mean, is that repaired? Did we repair it? I think we repaired it. I don't think it's a high-end instrument, but I don't know that it ever was. It's a band instrument. And it works. All three of the valves work. I was able to blow something that sounded like an E flat on it. So yeah, I don't think I can do anything with it. I can't sell it to anybody or anything, but I'll keep it with my other musical instruments. I have lots of guitars, bass, electric keyboards. Do I have anything else? I've got my clarinet. That's probably about it. I never was good at the clarinet either. I mean, I was all right. I could read the sheet music, and but it's a completely different thing. You do need a lot of wind to blow the clarinet, and you know, I'm so quiet and reserved. Maybe this just isn't the instrument for me. You know. Now I could get the muffle, but what the hell fun is that? You don't want to do it quiet. If you're going to play a trumpet, it should be echoing like it was, and the neighbors should be getting upset. And that's the whole point of it. All right, folks, so there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been Amateur Repair Time. We'll see you on the next video.
Cables, needles, switches. on a general pause. Tracing faded traces back into blues. Get it back to working by the end of the show. Bring your broken gadgets back to life. Turning silence into stories one at a time. We're fixing to fix some. Easy as can be. I'm at your repair time for you and me. It's amateur repair time. It's amateur repair time. It's amateur